Hey everyone, welcome back to practice. In today's flow-based class, we'll be working with changing planes. There are 3 planes of movement. When we move out to the sides like this, it's called the frontal plane. When we move forward and backwards, that's called the sagittal plane. And when we do rotation, that is called the transverse plane. So this class will explore movement along all of the various planes. To begin the practice, you can come to lie down on your back. Bring your hands to your rib cage. So in the front, there's a little bit of rib cage that the bottom part kind of lifts up. Bring your right hand onto the right side, your left hand onto the left side. So that means your elbows will be a little wide out to the sides of the room. And then as you close your eyes, relax your back as best you can into the mat. And breathe into the belly and into the ribs. As you're breathing into the belly, you'll notice the belly goes up and it goes down. When we inhale, it rises. When we exhale, it falls. But the rib cage moves just a little differently. It expands outward and inward. So as we inhale and the belly rises and continue to inhale, the rib cage expands outward, it grows wider. And as we exhale and the belly falls, the rib cage feels like it's narrowing underneath our hands. So you get a sense for breathing with dimension. See if you can stretch your breath from end to end so that each breath lasts a full 8 or 10 seconds. So the inhale matches the exhale. And you're doing kind of a 4-4 or a 5-5 in terms of regulating the breath. And just taking this time to open up the lungs. One more breath here, just setting a pattern of breathing that will carry us through the practice together. Now let your arms rest. Let your eyes open. Stay with the breath. Bend your knees one at a time. Draw your chin down towards that little notch on your collarbone so the head doesn't lift. You're just giving yourself a double chin on purpose. Press your back bones into the floor and place your hands on your thighs. Push your thighs forward and away. Tuck the chin and reach the crown of your head towards the top edge of your yoga mat. Your elbows will likely be straight, right, as you push the thighs away. Just giving yourself some length through the spine here. Can you continue with breath, dimensional? Now keeping your backbones in the floor so they're connected to the mat underneath you. Take your hands and arms and interlace your hands behind your head with your elbows wide apart. If you've been in classes this month, you might recognize this movement as the seesaw. So before we get moving, seesaw principle is one thing is going up while one thing is lowering down. And then that switches, right? We kind of teeter-totter. So exhale everything here. First part of seesaw is inhaling, pressing into the feet, lifting the hips off the floor. until they go up as high as you're comfortable lifting them. Now, as you exhale, roll your spine to the ground. So think mid-spine, low spine, back side of the pelvis. Keep exhaling. Peel your head, neck, shoulder blades up off the floor. Keep your elbows wide. Look up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lower the upper body. Keep inhaling and lift the lower body. Hips come up, thighs lift up. Use the duration of your exhale to slowly place your mid-spine, low spine on the ground. Keep exhaling and then peel the higher parts of your spine, including head, neck, and arms, off the floor. So you get the hang of it. Inhale, upper body down. Keep inhaling, lower body lifts. Exhaling, lower body starts to go down, and you keep exhaling to seesaw the upper body up. Do a couple more. Find the seesaw principle here. As you move through this last round of seesawing, let's together stay lifted in the more traditional abdominal crunch pattern. So we're raised, and then float your arms free. And then start to lean to the right and lean to the left. So keeping the shoulder blades off the floor. And now side bending here. Like you're reaching the upward facing palms towards the right foot and then leaning to reach towards the left foot. If there's any weirdness in the neck, you can take one hand behind the head to support the neck and still continue with your side bending. Do just a couple more. You'll feel plenty warming up here, particularly the belly muscles. And then find your way to center and lower yourself all the way to the ground. Right knee in with your right hand, left knee in with your left hand. Reach your hands into your knee pits. So you're going to tuck in the fingers to the back of the knees, flex the feet, and do a double straighten and a double bend with your legs here. Now, you may not be straightening all the way. You might just be kicking out to maybe 3/4 of the way, and that's absolutely fine. Right? Just work in your own range of motion, range of movement. Come to bent knee position. Then open your arms wide, so you're keeping your hands in your knee creases, and open the elbows wide. So that creates like two little kickstands, and then open and close in a V. So you're double extending the knees and then flexing. So it's both at the same time. Lying on our back with the legs set wide. So we got a little taste for what it's like to move in that sagittal plane. Here we are in this frontal plane as we open out to the sides. Now bend your knees, zip your legs together. Take it into a twist, arms wide, or to a cactus pose. Drop legs left. Orient the upper body right. It's not your deepest twist as we're still warming up. This is the transverse plane that we're in. So any rotation, any transitions where we turn the body, transverse. Bring yourself to center, head and legs, go the other way. Again, just a gentle dropping over and turning away from. And finding your way back to the middle. Hug the legs in towards you, wrap your arms around. And then 2 modes of transportation to get to seated. You could roll to your right and press up, or you could cross your ankles, reach into your knee pits, and do a little bit of rocking and rolling to bring yourself up to that seated position. Once you arrive in your seated pose, keep your butt bones heavy and walk your upper body forward. So reaching forward any amount. Let the head kind of hang or angle the crown of your head towards your fingertips. Just lengthening from the buttocks all the way up the back, out through the hands, the fingers, the arms, and the spine. You can stay static, just reaching through the center. You could do a little sidewalk over to the right. And then maybe travel across to the left, just exploring your turf out there, to the right and the left of your yoga mat. And then right back through to center, arriving center. Now walk in. And then take your hands and hold on to the fronts of your knees. Right? So you're going to use the hands as grip against the legs to create cow and cat. So as you inhale, articulate from tailbone. Create that deep sweeping arch to lift eyes, to lift nose. And then as you exhale, start at the tailbone, tuck underneath, hollow the belly, pull the ribs back, and draw the chin down. So both are initiated from tailbone. Inhale, cow, initiated from the tailbone, all the way up to the head. And then cat is also initiated from the tailbone. We begin the rounding down low until we get to chin to chest. Do a couple more on your own. You might notice there are blocks of your spine that don't really articulate well. It's true for all of us, hence this articulation work. One more time, inhaling, curling into extension. And as we exhale, curling into flexion. So this is that sagittal plane, that leaning forward, leaning back plane. Come all the way back up. And then shift forward into your tabletop, your hands and knees. Set up a real steady tabletop. One of the ways you can steadify it is to tuck your toes under and to go side to side. Lean your body weight side to side and find, well, what is true center for me? Where I can distribute the weight evenly between right and left arm, between right and left knee, between right and left toes tucked under. Now draw the front ribs in so they're not hanging towards the ground. Lengthen the crown of your head so you're keeping your neck long like a giraffe's neck, and float your knees just an inch off the floor. Breathe. The long breath. One more breath, hovering here. And place the knees. Untuck the toes. Toe tips point to each other. Sit back, child's pose. And take a couple breaths into the rise and fall of belly, into expansion, contraction of rib cage. And then I want to come back to that little bit of what's called a bear hold. It's the tabletop hover that we just did, and add a little movement in the transverse plane. So come all the way back up. Create your steady tabletop with your toes tucked under. Draw the front ribs in so the front of the body isn't hanging to the floor. It's bracing up away from the floor. Float your knees. Can you keep your arms, shoulders, head, neck, rib cage stable and twist your hips a little? Just like you're doing a very apathetic version of twist and shout. And feel what wakes up when you do this. Couple more little shimmies, adding that rotation of the pelvis. Come back, release the knees, untuck the toes. Walk your hands forward now that we've gotten everything awake. Tuck your toes under and into downward dog. Big stretch. In your downward dog, fortify the arms by pressing the tricep side of them towards the floor. Fortify the trunk by lifting the front ribs in. And fortify the legs by engaging the quads. Whether your knees are bent or straight, you can work with strong thighs. Breathe long. The pattern of breath we need for Surya Namaskar, we're building right here in this first downward dog. And full breath all the way in. Exhale, walk up, feet to hands. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold, knees bend, belly to thighs. Elbows held in ragdoll. Lengthen the buttocks, lengthen the back. Let the arms go, let the head go. And can you articulate up to standing? So we stack tailbone first, sacrum second, lumbar. Thoracic gets long, and then we have the neck. We've rolled our way up to Tadasana. Close eyes, hands come together, this collection of the hands in front of you in Samastiti. And Samastiti, more than being a yoga pose, is like a intentional moment, right? So we gather ourselves in Samastiti. It's like centering, almost like instantaneous centering. Here we are. Let's chant together Om one time. Exhale fully. Then take a breath in. Releasing the arms, allow your eyes to open. In this Surya Namaskar, let's work with this plane, this forward leaning and this back bending plane. So that would be called the sagittal. So then instead of arms to the sides, which would be the frontal plane, we're going to go up in front of us with the arms. So taking Tadasana, exhale. Inhale, arms go in front of you and all the way up. Exhale, fold over, out, and down. As you inhale, you lengthen forward. As you exhale, you step back and you lower down. It could be all the way, it could be hovering in Chaturanga. Now we bend backwards in Cobra or Upward Dog. And then we fold back into Downward Facing Dog. Breathing here. 1, total of 4 breaths. 2, 3, 4. Deep breath in prepares us. Exhale, crouching, looking forward, looking front. Inhale, step or hop. Half lift. Exhale and fold. As you inhale and reach up, go forward and up through your arms. As you exhale and release down, forward and down, back to mountain. So truly in this sagittal plane. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, step back, lower down your way. Inhale, bend backwards. Exhale, hip hinge to down dog. 1. 2. 3. 4. Full breath in gets you ready. Exhale, crouch, gaze forward. Inhale, feet go there, half lift. Exhaling, fold. Inhale, arms in front and all the way up. Exhale, arms in front and all the way down. One last time. Inhale, forward, up. Exhale, folding forward and down. Inhale, lengthen horizontal to the ground. Exhale, step or float back. Chaturanga or lowering. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, fold back. 1. 2. 3. 4. Full breath in. Exhale, crouching, looking. Inhale, going there. Lengthening. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms forward, up. Exhale, arms forward and down. And then get soft through your knees. So you're going to bend your knees and be loose through your body. And then start to take it to bear. Right, so this is that side to side kidney tapping in the transverse plane, right? This rotational, but we're loose, right? You can feel the weight shifting around in your feet. The spine is turning. The arms are swinging. Pelvis turns a bit as well. And start to let that momentum slow and slow and slow until you find your way steady, steady center. Keep the knees bent. In fact, bend them even more. Send your hips back. And then take your arms out and up, chair. And go out and back down by your sides, right? So we're keeping the chair sit and just working in this frontal plane or side plane as we take the arms out and up and out and back along the sides. As you bring your arms next out and up, sit back a little more, lean the belly forward towards the thighs, almost like your thighs are a shelf. Hands to prayer. Take a breath in. Exhale, turn right. Latch left elbow somewhere outside of the right thigh. And now we're rotating in this like pivoting plane. Lengthen as you turn. Stay low, shelf the thighs, come back to center, inhale. Exhale, go the other way, latching that right arm. Keep the length, increase it more if you can, and turn. Rotation. Unwind, come back to full reach of the arms. Use exhale to fold out and over and down. Inhale, lift halfway, lengthen. Exhale, step back, plank. Keep exhaling lower to or towards the floor. Inhale, cobra or upward facing. Exhaling, fold back, downward facing dog. Solidify the arms, lift the ribs. Use a breath in, right leg lifting up back behind you. Pause with it lifted and press the heel and the leg bone towards the crest of where the wall is meeting the ceiling. Like you could hook your heel into that little indentation up and back there. Now as you exhale, right knee forward, right foot forward between your hands. Lower the back knee to the ground. Untuck your toes and come up. Create a neutral lunge. So not a deep crescent dive, but pull the hips back. You might need to widen your right leg a little to make the base of the support work for you. Right hand, right thigh, left arm up to the sky. Take a breath in. Exhale, tuck the tailbone and side bend. Can you do both at the same time? Tailbone tucked, side bending over. Then bring yourself back to center so you're elongated vertically. Place your left hand down under your left shoulder, so just folding forward to create that. Some of you will want a block underneath that left hand to bring the floor up to you. You can decide when you see where we're going next, right? Bending left knee, grab the foot with the right hand. So that might be an indicator that that block underneath the left hand is going to be a helpful tool for you. Breathe here, tailbone under, open the chest. So notice if you dropped your hips forward like you're in a real deep back-bended crescent, stay in the 90-90 of the right leg and turn and stretch your quad. Carefully unwind chest to the floor, then release the back foot. Hands to the ground, downward dog, step back. So you might understand why I said, hey, you might want a blanket for your knee, because we really are weight bearing right into the knee in this one, right? So we're not forward with the hips. Try the left leg lifting as you brace your triceps to the floor. Left leg lifts up, whole leg bone towards crest of wall and ceiling. We pause there, get a sense for 3 points of connection to the ground. And then knee comes forward, foot lands. Right knee comes to the floor, untuck, pull back. So vertical in this one. Left hand, left thigh, right arm up. Tuck tailbone and side bend, simultaneous tuck and side bend. And breathe into sensation. As you unbend from the side and come back to vertical, the right hand goes down right under your shoulder or onto the yoga block. The back knee bends and you grab your foot, left hand, right foot. Heel to butt, tailbone under. The knee, top of the knee is pressing right into the floor. We haven't dropped forward at all. Open the chest to the left, turn the head to the left. So add that transverse plane. Squaring chest to floor first, then letting go of back foot thigh stretch. Place the hands evenly. Step forward, standing forward bend. Take a few breaths. Think front plane as you do this. Inhale, reach the arms out and up. Exhale, arms release out to the sides and then back down. Okay, come back to knees bent, shelf the thighs, and work with your wings flying in chair. Inhale up, out, exhale down. Back along the sides here. Go to arms raised, hands come to prayer. This time, stand up on your right leg, bring your left knee with you, balancing. Now shift your body weight into a forward lean. Release the back leg up and back behind you, fingertips to the floor, head hangs, pause in a standing split position. Right hip hugs in, it's held in. So we're not leaning the weight to the outer right hip, but keeping it toned to the midline. Glancing forward, lengthen the spine, come up onto pads of fingers. Bend your front knee, land your back leg back. Runner's lunge, drop the hips low, front knee over heel. Breathe. From here, high lunging, find your land legs. You can take arms forward, up, or out and up. So you decide the plane you want to move your arms in. Lean it forward. Belly close to right thigh. Right thigh is a shelf. Bring your hands to prayer. Take a breath in. Exhale, twist right, left elbow outside of right thigh somewhere. Big plane change from here to warrior two. How do you do it? You unwind like a whirling. The back foot turns, the front thigh drops. Reverse warrior, back hand, back thigh, lift up, curl back. And then think of a move into triangle. Straighten front leg, reach. Exhale down into it. Pause when you get in there and breathe. Consider working in this frontal plane, the side to side. Half moon, left hand hip, bend right knee, reach out, hop, step up. If you want to explore taking this half moon into the sagittal, you would bend your back knee, the lifted foot, grab the foot, and kick the thigh behind you. So even though we moved in the side plane, we're now taking it into a back bend. If you took the thigh stretch version, let it go, float the leg free back to Ardha Chandrasana. Together back to standing split. Breathe. Release your left leg parallel to your right. Standing forward fold. So you might start to see what I mean about when the brain has to work in the different planes, the breath sometimes gets lost. Bend your knees, shelf your thighs. Chair pose, reach out and up, out and back. Flight, wings, move with breath. Raise the arms long by the ears. Hands to prayer. Come to standing. Right knee goes with you. Balance. Long breath. Bend the standing leg a little. Hinge forward from the crease of the hip. Right leg reaches back. Fingertips touch. We fold. Standing split. Left leg is the leader. Hug the hip in. Bend your front knee, land the back foot back. Steady legs. Any arm variation you want to go, side plane or front plane. Coming up, high lunging. The left thigh, you're creating a shelf through the depth of your lunge. Now when you lean forward, belly close to it. Hands to prayer, inhale. Exhale, twist left. Hook that right elbow somewhere. Turning and lengthening. Transverse plane, warrior two. So there's a whole whirling that happens. Very good. It's a thigh burner. Regulate the breath. Reverse, curl up, back. And then find seamless, like a flow into Trikonasana. Straighten, reach, set your bottom hand to something. Upper arm, ceiling bound. Pause and breathe in there. Considering the movement into half moon, right to hand to hip first. Bend the left knee, track the arm out that way. Hop step. So here we are in this frontal, the side to side plane. You can add the the sagittal by bending your knee, taking the thigh stretch variation. So we start to curl back. If you took the thigh stretch, go to half moon. We'll meet there. And then together, fold in, standing split. Pelvis downward facing. Let the head hang. Hug the left hip in. Bend the front knee, land back. Right toes. Down dog, step both legs back to meet each other. Vinyasa or no vinyasa. From the downward facing dog, come forward and bring it to plank pose. Exhale, lower the knees and come all the way to your belly. Elbows to the side, hands are stacked on top of each other like pancakes. Let your forehead rest against the back of your hands. So come to belly touching floor, untucking toes, front thighs against ground, forehead against hands, and breathe. Breathe into the out and in of belly. Breathe into the expansion, the widening and narrowing of rib cage. And bend your knees and go windshield wipe. So this is that pivotal plane where you go side to side. Just loosening the front thighs, loosening the front hips. Legs center and stretch them to straight. And then while you're here, I want you to do cat-cow with your hips. Like tuck the tail way under and stick the booty way out And so you'll have very subtle movement in the pelvis here because the ground's in the way. But just feel, well, what's it like to arch my back? And what's it like to tuck the tailbone? And then find the middle of those two things, where your butt is awake, right? The glutes are firing, but the pubic bone or the front thighs are really pressing down into the yoga mat. Keep that work in the hips and the legs, and take your arms in front of you, head is raised, palms on the floor. And then up into Superman. Start with your legs lifting, and then let your arms go. Notice if your chin is jutting forward, so you don't want a Pez dispenser for a head. Chin down slightly, maybe looking towards the bridge of your nose, and just holding ourselves up in Superman. Feel how gravity wants us to let go and drop the limbs to the floor. And we're resistant to that gravity. Keep breathing. Four more breaths. So we're doing about a 45-second hold of this Superman. The whole posterior chain is staying awake. You can feel it from the shoulders, down the back, down the booty, down the legs. One more breath. And release. Hands by the breastbone, come up to tabletop. Take a couple rounds of cow-cat, keep it gentle. And then find your way back to where we just were. We're going back to the ground, to the setup. Elbows wide, hands stacked like pancakes, forehead resting. So take your head out of the equation here. Let your forehead rest. And then do that work with your pelvis. Tuck under, stick your butt out. So you're going from flexion into extension in that sacrum, that tailbone, that lumbar area. And then I want you to find, well, what is kind of the middle path for me where I'm grounded through the front thighs, through the hip points and part of the pubic bone, where my butt muscles feel awake, and then maintain that structure and strength in the legs. Arms go in front of you. Looking down the bridge of your nose, lift your legs first to get the lower posterior firing. Lift the upper body second. Hold yourself up there and breathe. Slowing the breath, the outs and the ins. And take 5 more breaths. Everything back there is so awake. One more breath. And lower. Whew. Hands by the breastbone, down dog this time. Stretch the whole posterior of your body by taking downward facing. Now using breath in, let your right leg float up to where the heel can reach towards crest of wall and ceiling. Big breath in. Exhale, knee forward, plant your right foot between your hands. Lower your back knee to the floor. Keep the back bend so the hips can stay low and forward, and take it up into crescent. That could be sideways, arms out and up, or forward out and up. Do what feels organic to you. And then this lifting up and this curling back. Shifting forward, touch fingertips to the ground. Once they meet the ground, heel toe your right foot in, across to the left side of your yoga mat. Knee forward and down, not at a 90-degree angle. So pitch the knee forward and come down, pigeon. Untuck the back toes. Stay lifted through the sternum, lifted through the eyes. Feel the back bend here. So the whole back of us, we just ignited in all of those Supermans, and this is supporting us in this back bend of pigeon. Now take it into forward folding and side bending. Off to the left, walk it. Extend away. So you're reaching diagonally away from the right hip. Staying low, find your way to the center. Now walk your way back in, lifting up. From here, back leg comes around into seated half happy baby. So you're going to grab the pinky toe side of your left foot with your left hand. Right leg stays crossed just like it was when you were doing your pigeon. And just explore length here. And then you could stay with this, or you could go to baby cradle, like hook the foot into the crease of your elbow, hug your shin towards your chest. You could also fork lift this, like go under and bring the shin towards the chest. So think of forward and up through the chest, maybe side to side. And then just for the sake of it, go back to your half happy baby. Lean over to the side and just practice like straightening and bending. And then try this. So we're leaning sideways here, putting all the weight kind of into the right butt cheek. What if you tried to keep your left butt cheek down and straighten and bend that way? Right? So both sit bones grounded as we do this. Okay, come back to half that happy baby. So you're seated. Let the leg go, bring it behind you. Downward facing dog, step back. Vinyasa, if you want it, we're nearing all the end of these flows. So if you'd like to continue with them, take one here. And then down dog, left leg lifts, right? We're reaching the limb towards where the wall and the ceiling meet, that edge. Then use an exhale, knee forward, foot between your hands. Right knee comes to the ground. Into the glorious back bend version of crescent. So yes, let your hips go forward. Yes, let your spine lift up, curl back, like you're draping evenly back over something. And shifting forward, fingertips to ground. Here's the heel toeing across, all the way across to the right. And then knee goes through that little window of your arms as you come down into your pigeon, staying in the back bend, untuck toes, point them back. So this is our alligator's tail, lifting up, curling back. And from back bending into forward folding, but let's bring it forward and off to a side bend. So we're going right. We're reaching away diagonally from the left hip. And staying low, grounded, come back to center. Just inch your way back to the middle. And from there, walking in. Now it's the righty that comes around to create the seated happy baby work. And if you find that you're super slumped, you might put a block under your butt so you can get that vertical through your spine. And you can work with seated happy baby. You could baby cradle or forklift it. Bring it in close to the sternum, lift the sternum up, like if you could shave your chest against the inner leg in some fashion. Maybe you add your side to sides. And then back to the happy baby, the half one. And lean to the right. So let your sit bone lift and practice off to the side and back down. So we're into this knee flexion extension with the leg kicked out, just like we were in the very beginning of our practice when we were holding the back of the knee. And then see if you can sit and still do it. And if you can't, you just lean off to the side and create it. And then bring it all the way back down and crisscross it through the legs. And now I want you to take your arms in front of you, match your hands in prayer, and reach away so that the chest gets closed, right? And then open out so the chest gets open. Do this a few times. Match the hands in prayer so the chest hollows. And then it broadens. Now come back to this open chest position and then relax the arms entirely. Right leg back into half happy baby. So we're going back to that exploration where we're here. And then we're going to play a little game of getting into what's called the compass pose. So I'll walk us through. You'll take the left hand and go over the top of your right foot. So not under the sole, but over the top to the pinky toe side. And what that does, it creates a little U-sized hole to now lift the right sit bone. Try to tuck your shoulder underneath your calf, right? Almost like you're going to put your leg behind your head. Alrighty, now your right hand can go to the floor and you start to extend the right leg and the left arm and you look through the U-sized hole into compass. Foot into hand, hand into foot, pull the chest through and take one more breath. Really nice, everybody. Oh, bend the knee, unwind yourself, crisscross your legs. And then just do a little gyrating, just to let it go, to rebalance your sacrum. So especially if one of your sit bones is lifted up, it means your sacrum and your SI joint is also lifted up over there. So I love this interlude to just ground the two halves of the pelvis evenly. And then find your way to sitting vertical. And then it's the lefty that's going into the half-seated happy baby. Now the free hand would be the right one that goes over to the pinky toe side of your foot. And then you create that U-sized hole that you thread your left arm through. And I have a hardy calf, so I got to move it out of the way to try to get my shoulder under there. And if you found that, then you can take left hand to floor, straighten left leg, right arm, and look through the U-sized hole you created. Compass. Breathing. One more breath. And bend the knee. Release, go to cross-legged. And then just do that little bit of the Kundalini, the Kundalini spiral to ground the two halves of the pelvis. And finding your way to center with a long spine. Open the legs wide into a V. It could be a big V or a lowercase v. Ground your thigh bones. Maybe your knees are bent. In that case, you would ground the roots of your thighs. So you'd let your creases get quite deep and then take a walk. Keep the low back long as you're walking, right? So it's not where we buckle and round. Think in and up curve of that lower part of the spine. And even as you greet your Upavista Konasana, as you get there, your upper back may round a bit. The lower back does not. Breathe spaciously into the rib cage and into the belly. Use an inhalation to lengthen and an exhale to rise back to vertical. Bring your legs together in front of you. Knees can be bent if that is your jam, or legs straight. And without crossing the legs yet, we'll twist the spine. So right hand behind us, left hand grips the outside of the left knee or thigh. Stay forward facing as best you can. Inhale. And as you exhale, turn navel, chest, shoulders, and head to the right. So once again, we're grounding evenly through the pelvis as we rotate in this transverse plane. Use an in-breath, eyes glancing forward. Exhale, unwind. Now let's add the knee. Step your foot in. It's the right foot that would come in. Right hand goes behind. You can hold your leg into your body or hook the elbow outside of the leg. Inhale, facing forward as best you can. And exhale, we rotate again, transverse plane to the right belly, chest, shoulders, head, all of it. One thing to consider is that there's a way to relax into the turn. So as we're inhaling, it's quite active, right? But as we're exhaling, there's like a surrendering into the rotation that can happen. Use an in-breath, eyes forward. Exhale, unwind your whole spine, extend the legs back to this Dandasana position. Without knee pulled in, left hand behind, right hand grips outer thigh. Take breath in, find your lengthening. As you exhale, rotate high navel, rib cage, chest, shoulders, and head to the left. Using breath in, glancing forward towards the feet. Exhale, unwinding. Twist number 2 to the left. This time we add the foot stepped back, the knee pointing up. Hand behind, hook arm outside or around the leg. Breath in as you're increasing of the space between the bones of your spine. The breath out is relaxing you, surrendering you into the turn. It's like a little dance in here. energizing, surrendering. Breathing in, eyes forward. Breathing out and unwind. Back to Dandasana. And then let's take it sagittal plane. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pour out and over, forward and down into your Paschimottanasana, your grounding forward fold. And feel free to explore where you reach for. Could be hands on the ground. You could hold your big toes in that like Ashtanga grip and fold that way. Low back lengthened, even if the upper back is a little rounded as you fold over. Then use breath in, elongate. Exhale and rise. See that you have real estate behind you to make your way onto your back. Knees bent, feet close to your buttocks, at hips distance apart. Palms down, arms by your side, tuck the chin. Backbones resting against the ground. Then ride the waves of your breath in and out of rolling bridge. Inhale, arising, lifting and reaching. Exhale, articulating from high to low spine into the floor, letting the hands come back along the sides. So as you're lifting your spine, it's tailbone, then everything above rises. But as you're lowering, you're going from like just under the shoulder blades, kind of letting those spine bones roll all the way to the floor until the tailbone is grounded. Do a couple more. They don't have to be your highest, biggest back bends, right? We already explored really deep and long held back bends. This is just more of a neutralizing thing. And one more time, up. And down. And stretch your arms out in that frontal or side plane, like a T or like cactus, and go to a Supta Baddha Konasana in the legs. And 5 slow breaths here, just reposing. Open-bodied, reposing. And if you like this position, you're welcome to stay for longer. Or reach down, grab the outer legs, gather your legs together. Stretch them now long along the yoga mat, coming into our final pose, Shavasana. I encourage you to use any props that you'd like for Shavasana. You can put blocks on your body to add weight. You can tuck a blanket behind the neck or the knees. You're also welcome to use legs up the wall in lieu of Shavasana. But arriving in your resting position. And closing the horizon line of your eyes. And can you gradually embody this word surrender? And bring your awareness back. Bring your awareness back to breath. The rise and fall, the expansion, the contraction. And find soft movements in fingers and toes. Raise the right arm overhead. Bend your knees and roll onto your right side. Pause when you get there. And as you rest your head against your bicep like a pillow, just enjoy a few breaths that really wrap the rib cage. Just opening and closing the lungs. Giving a gentle press of the free hand into the floor, lifting yourself all the way up to seated. And closing your eyes, joining the hands together, this gesture of offering, this gesture of gratitude. And we'll mark the way out with the sound of the Om one time. Exhale fully. And then take a breath in. May the merits of this practice we've done here today benefit all beings everywhere. Namaste.